Hello my friends. Right, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to look at string muting. Why would I want to do that? Well, most of you that are starting off playing, or maybe you've been playing for a while, you'll see diagrams in certain books, whatever, like this. Excuse the squeaky chair. Alright, as I've said before, it's not flatulence, it's my chair squeaking. Just so you know, just get that one straightened out before we start. Right, see these little crosses that you see at the top of chords? These are telling you not to play those particular strings. And you'll notice them all the time. And sometimes you'll look at them, sometimes they might be on the 4th string or the 5th string, and you'll say, well, how the hell am I gonna, how can I hit the, strum the chord and not hit those strings? It's impossible. So this lesson is to tell you how to do it, to advise you. There's a trick to it. I call it a trick. Technique is the posh way of saying it, but nevertheless, it's something that is easy once you know how to do it. Before we go any further, thank you for the donations to the channel. Thank you for clicking the thumbs up below this thing. If you haven't done it, please do it because it really helps the channel. And subscribe if you've not yet done so. Alright, so this is important. A lot of the songs that we're going to be doing in future, for those people who are new to guitar and want to play well, this is one of the little things that you need to know. It's easy once you know what it is. Right, let's assume we're going to play a chord, nice easy chord like an A minor. Most of you would go like this. And it would sound alright. But it's not right. Because the root note for A minor is the note A. The string A. Where's that string? It's the 5th string. So how do we play all 6 strings or hit them all? We could try and miss this one out if we wanted to. It's really difficult to do. So what we do is we just put our thumb here, hang your thumb or hang your hands if you're hanging up a coat. Alright? And you'll see me doing it all the time, and seasoned players do it. We don't even think about it anymore. And quite often tutors, even myself, we'd forget to tell you that's what you do to get a decent sound. So if I'm going to play an A minor, I will put my fingers on the obvious shape position, but I would mute that bass note. So the first string that I hear is the A string. Similarly with an A major or an A 7th or an A major 7th. You see what I mean? Now, if I wanted to play that E bass note, there would be occasions when I'd want to do it. It would be if I was playing like a Johnny Cash type thing. You see the way my thumb is sort of... If I just hit all the strings and just do that, you will get that sound. Watch. Rather than try and go and pick it out. Alright, so whenever you're playing the chord A, mute the bass strings, unless of course you're trying to do a little alternative bass pattern. Alright, so that's why do I pick on the chord A? Because we all use it every day whenever we play anything. Alright, it's better than it sounding like this. That sounds crap. Alright, nice and good, nice and neat. Get your root notes in place. The rest of the chord is built around that note. Okay, A. Let's look at a tricky one, D. Now D is a 4-string chord. Okay, what does that mean? Well, we've got our 3 fingers on our D here, and the root note for the D is this one, the 4th string. Now, it's very difficult to mute the 5th and the 6th. So what we tend to do on a D is, again, we'll just mute this one here, because this one sounds really bad if you play it over a D. This is what it sounds like without muting. And this is what it sounds like with muting that bass string. Now the A is still in there, the A string, but we can get away with that, okay? We can get away with that. The only alternative to play a D with where you can hit all strings is if you do this. It's called an open D tuning, a drop D tuning, where not an open D, a drop D, where we've dropped our E string down to a D in order that we can play songs like and he's done that in order that he can hit all the strings. It sounds really rich and you don't have to mute anything. Back to E. Right, so on a D we just basically get away with muting the the E string. If we don't do it, it sounds bad. Similarly, anything to do with D, D minor, D seventh, D major seventh. Always keep, remember, hang your hand. All right. Get rid of that bass note. The only time we want to play this bass note is if any of our root notes live on it. For example, E major. Fine. G. Fine. F. Or anything to do with the bar F. Okay? Fine. Anything else, anything relating to this chord, the A shape, we'll mute. Alright? We mute this bass string. Now, let's look at something a little bit more fiddly, shall we? A B7th. Now B7th is a wonderful chord used all the time in rock and roll and rock and you name it, and it's a 5-string chord like this. Okay, you'll know it. Now quite often people who have difficulty, maybe they got a bit of arthritis or they can't get their thumb over enough, which is quite common, you know, if you've got smaller hands. I mean, I don't like that as an excuse, small hands, because Django Reinhardt, he only had 2 fingers and he didn't play badly, did he? So, you know, we can't really use that as an excuse. However, it can affect older players who might be getting a bit, you know, a bit of arthritis in there. So how can we mute the bass string if we're playing a B7th? Because sometimes it's quite tricky to get your thumb over. Well, what we can do, and we're going to use, this is another technique, another trick. When we're playing our B7th, I'll keep my thumb out of the way. Now I'll play the chord without muting so you can hear what it sounds like, or how bad it sounds. It sounds crap, doesn't it? It does, be honest. Okay. If I mute it, how am I doing it? I'm not using my thumb because it's down here. So what am I doing? Right, well, this finger is on the 5th string, my 2nd finger. I'm allowing it, instead of putting it right on the string like this, as I would normally do, like a ballet dancer's toe. Alright, that's why I refer to it. I'm allowing this finger just to sit on top of the 5th string. Can you see that? So the very tip of my finger, I'm putting it down here, but I'm allowing the very tip just there to just do the job of muting that bass string. And if I want to do an alternating bass line on that, I will do this. That's how you mute your B7th bass notes. Okay, you can do that if you want, or if you find that difficult, just let this finger ride above the string. Now, a chord that you'll probably learn to play before the B7th would be a C. Now a C is often played like this. I tend to play it like that in order that I can play the alternating bass note with it. Okay, or if I'm strumming, I like to play it with full 6 strings. However, the way that you're taught to play it, and it's a correct way, is because your C bass note is here, again on the 5th string. Why is it on the 5th string? I thought you said it was A. Well, it was when we were playing A there. But when we're playing C, the 5th string is played here. A sharp, B, C. So that's why it's the root note of C. Okay. Now, if I let this string, this one here, it's not a wrong note. We know it's not a wrong note because we've got the same note an octave higher there. But this E is a very powerful string because it's the fattest, makes the most noise. So we don't really want it to overpower the chord, and it can spoil it. Okay, so what we can do, again, as we did with the B7th, we can allow our 3rd finger to just sit on top of the 5th string and just allow your tip of your finger, again, see there? Okay, now this also, there's a good reason for using these 3 fingers and not doing it like that. I tend to use it this way if I'm using my little finger to do stuff. Okay, so that's the only time I would ever play a C like that. Ordinarily, if I was strumming, I'd play it like this. Just get that really rich sound. Okay, so again, you allow your 3rd finger to just sit on top of the string. Don't do this. Just, you know, just sit there, feel it. And once you hear that sound, you're safe. And again, you can alternate with this finger if you wanted to, as you did with the B7th. put my little finger down here. Okay, so that's how you tend to do the do your C. A very important one. When you're playing, you'll find simplified versions of the chord F. For example, when you look at a book, and it always annoys me. One of the reasons I had to go at that play in a day book is it shows you simplified versions of chords, but it doesn't tell you not to play the strings that have got a cross over them. It's telling you because there's a cross, but it doesn't say if you play those notes it's going to sound bloody awful. Okay, so let's look at a 4-string version of F, which we do often use, by the way, as I will demonstrate. So we've got our 2 fingers here, this one here and this one here. Now, clearly it's very difficult not to hit the 6 and the 5 if you're trying to strum along. And you'll look at the paper and you'll say, why does that sound crap? And you'll do it again, and then you'll try and miss it by going, and you won't do it, it's impossible. So this is what you do. We've got the 2 techniques that we've already used, and we're going to use both of them now to fix this F, this 4-string F. Okay, so what we do, we allow our 3rd finger, the one that's on the 4th string, to ride above the string, sit, instead of it sitting on top, bang like that, right on in the middle, we allow it to just ride above the string. Thus, there's a word I haven't used since science. Okay, thus muting the 5th string. But we still got this one to worry about as well, the bass string, so we will bring our thumb. And that way you can strum quite heavily. Okay, and it's always good to practice at little phrases. So let's play an F like this: 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th string, little finger down here. These are like Bob Dylan chords, Donovan. Mute the 5th string as I've just described, like this. See, just touching. Okay, now we're going to go from the F. We're going to keep this little finger down here on the 1st string of the 3rd fret. It's very folky, this way of playing. John Lennon used it a lot as well. Okay, so let's play. We're going to play F to C to G. We're muting the 5th and the 6th. Then we'll go to our C. Still muting the bass note. And to our G. Okay? Once you know how to do that, you've only got to learn those 2 little things. Everything you play from then on, when you see one of these crosses above a particular chord, you won't have a problem with it. Let's look at a bar chord, shall we? Well, the bar chord that we mostly have to worry about is the one that's related to the A shape. So let's say a B minor, because everybody finds, if ever you're playing a song with this D in it, you nearly always find a B minor. So a B minor, you could put a bar all the way across, but your root note really is on the 5th string. How do we know that? A sharp, B minor. And remember that this, all a bar chord is a simple shape moved up the chord, and this finger is acting as a capo. That's all it is. All right. But we could hit all the strings, but really our root note is the 5th string. And if you're playing with a bass guitarist, what he doesn't want to hear is you thumping away at other bass notes that are going to get in the way of what he's doing, or she. All right, it's quite important. Everyone needs to know their place. So we're going to play a nice clean B minor. We just want to hear the root note of the B. So what am I doing? Barring across the 5 strings. Okay, there's things that you don't see when you're watching players, and I'm allowing my 1st finger here not to press the bass string at the 2nd fret down, just to touch it as I did with the other chords. If I want to do an alternating bass pattern, going from the B to the F sharp to get that sort of umpire sound. And once you get that technique right, you can then start playing all those little bass runs that you hear on so many different records. Okay, that's about it. One other shape I'm going to show you before we call it a day. C7th. Now C7th is a wonderful rock and roll shape. Okay, play the traditional C the way we've been discussing. 1, 2, 3. At your 7th, you've got your 3rd string at the 3rd fret. Now we're going to do a double mute here, because this is a movable chord. When you're playing C7 in this position, you could just mute the bass string. But it's a really popular movable chord. It's great to move around. Great rock and roll chord. So we can only move it if we mute the bass string and we mute the first string. How am I doing it? Well, there's a little trick on this one. It's an additional technique. Thumb, as I've described before, to kill the bass note. Now, if I want to kill the first string, what I'm doing is I'm allowing my first finger here, instead of touching the string as I did before, I'm just allowing it to droop slightly to kill that first string. If I didn't mute it, you'll soon find out it'll sound bloody awful. Okay, so in this instance, that's a D7th. How do I know it's D7th? If it was C7th there, C sharp 7th, D7th. So if you've got a pal playing a D7th there, an easy one. But you've got to mute those strings, bass note and the first string. You see that? Bass note with your thumb and this first string muted just by allowing your finger just to drop slightly, killing it off. Alright? Right, muting. Why have I decided to do a lesson on that today? Well, I was going to do this one, which I'm going to do. I might actually do it tomorrow, Sunday afternoon by the Kinks. And you'll notice when you look at it, because I've scribbled it out before, see these crosses here? And I know for a fact that some of you would think, oh bloody hell, what's all that about? Well, now you know. Okay, so when we do that one, probably tomorrow, this is like an additional lesson to prepare you for it, then you'll know what we're going to do. I'll go over it as well as we're doing it, but I want you to practice this in the meantime. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I want to thank you again for the donations to the channel. See, I've got a bigger cup now, more tea. All right, do click that thumb. It does not help, it really does help. And subscribe. Remember, all the stuff on the channel is free, so send all my stuff to whoever you like. All right, I may see you tomorrow with the Kinks. Sunny afternoon, wonderful song. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye bye for now.